Take a second, reflect on your financial situation, your net worth, how much kind of cash you have on hand, what's your debt level, how have you prepared for retirement? And please know you didn't get here by accident. Hey guys, Randy Gage back with another episode of the Power Prosperity Podcast. And I switched on the laptop so we can share it with my friends in the YouTube universe. So you didn't get here by accident. I'm not saying that to beat you up. I'm not saying that to be judgmental. Let me take you back in time to a time I would prefer not to reveal because I'm not aware of the statute of limitations. So we will keep the date and the location anonymous, secret. But you know how urban myths just never seem to die? So there I was in a crack house, speaking to a dealer, and he's asked me, "Are you a police officer?" And I said, "No, I'm not a police officer." He then produced an 8-ball of crystal meth. I gave him the cash and I went on my way. That particular dealer, that was probably the 6th time that I bought drugs from him. And the 6th time he asked me that question. I guess people never watched Miami Vice or The Wire or NYPD Blue or any police show on television. But that's like an urban myth that doesn't die, right? I tell that story, which you probably are not expecting at the start of a prosperity video on YouTube. But I'm telling the story because that's the way I'm opening my next book. I'm writing my 15th book right now. And the title, working title anyway, at this moment is Thermonuclear Prosperity. And I tell that story because it's really important. I understood after a while, it took me some while, but I understood I didn't get in that crack house buying crystal meth, hopelessly addicted to that drug, destroying my life by accident. That was the logical, rational result of a series of daily actions that I took over the course of years. And when I took responsibility for that, that's only when I could break the addiction. When you take the responsibility for your own actions, that's the only time you can have a breakthrough. And so I think, one of the things I'm an expert at is the nature of human nature. You don't do deals in crack houses like that without having a really good thermometer for reading people and knowing, am I going to come out of here alive? Am I going to come out of here in a body bag? Right? So I know people really well. And one of the things I know is humans hate to take personal responsibility for their actions. And the other thing I know is people complain often about the circumstances they're fighting, but frequently they're fighting an effect and still actually nurturing and preserving the cause of that, whatever those circumstances are. Could be a conscious habit like alcohol, other drugs, or a gambling addiction, or it could be an unconscious belief that you have, like thinking you're not worthy, you're supposed to get your reward in the afterlife, that money is bad, or rich people are evil, or it's spiritual to be poor. And until and unless you get to the cause, the circumstances aren't going to change. So I'm doing this episode this week because I really want to tell you again, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to ridicule you, ostracize you, criticize you. I'm here because I want to help you. And I'm just trying to share lessons that I am still learning along my journey of moving toward what I'm calling thermonuclear prosperity. Please understand, there are always external factors you can blame. The economy, your ex-spouse, some whacked out conspiracy theory. But if we're being honest, if we're being brutally, totally honest, speaking soul to soul, you know, wherever you're at in your life, in this moment, you didn't get there by accident. Now, you can say, what about the earthquake, the tornadoes, the tsunamis? The volcano erupted and it melted my Tesla. There was a sinkhole opened up and it swallowed my golf cart, you know? Listen, tragedies, misfortunes, accidents, they occur to everybody. We all will be the victim of some random events at different points in our lives. But it's really important to understand when people are having endless cycles of those results, then that's not random. That is, you have to ask yourself, okay, what am I doing to contribute to this situation? If you've had 11 negative dysfunctional relationships in a row, like I did, you got to say, okay, what am I doing that's contributing to that? If you have health challenge after health challenge after health challenge, like I did, I had to say, okay, what am I doing to contribute to that? If you're facing business failure after business failure, you know, if you're broke for year after year, decade after decade, you got to at some point take responsibility for that and know, yes, you had a crooked partner who ripped you off, or yes, you had an employee who embezzled $200,000 from you, or yes, your ex-spouse was a mean, bitter, dysfunctional person who abused you, or you were raised in a horrific, abusive environment with your, family of upbringing. I get it. But at some point, and if you're a regular here on the channel, you know, you've heard me say it 10 million times. You can be a victor, you can be a victim, but you have to choose one. If you want to grow as a person, if you want to move toward enlightenment, if you would like to manifest true, abundant prosperity in your life, you have to get out of denial. You have to recognize the contributions you're making, both to the good events in your life and the bad events in your life. And once you accept that, it's a lot easier to increase the prosperous side of the equation. So let's begin with this premise. Your current situation in life is the direct result of the vision you have for yourself. Your current situation in life is the direct result of the vision you have for yourself. Now, some people say, well, I don't really have a vision, but everybody does. You just might not have this powerful, empowering vision like we tend to associate when we talk about having a vision for our life, or a vision for our company, or a vision for our organization or our nonprofit. But there's three kinds of visions. There's the positive, empowering ones like we're familiar with. There's negative visions. There are people that absolutely have a negative vision. If you grew up and let's say your parents their formative years were during the Great Depression, they probably raised you with severe poverty consciousness. And they were extremely frugal, and there was no extra, luxuries or delicacies or treats, or everything was made. There are people that make every decision is about the money. They would never pay more for an oceanfront room instead of looking at the dumpster of the hotel next door. They would never buy a business class or a first class airline ticket. They would never pay $40,000 more to have an apartment on the 10th floor instead of the first floor to get a better view, right? Every decision is made by the money, right? If you're raised in that kind of environment, you're going to have that kind of, perspective. And if you come from an abusive environment, dysfunctional relationships, if you were raised by an alcoholic, the chances of the percentage likelihood of you being an alcoholic yourself are astronomical. Same thing if you're raised in an abusive environment, for you to grow up and become an abusive person. Unless you consciously, mindfully recognize that, you break the cycle and you change your vision. So people, like, if you're raised as children of alcoholic or alcoholics in many cases, you're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're always timid. You're thinking about everything you say before you say it. There's like a computer screen and you put it up there and say, if I say this, are they going to like me? If I say this, am I going to get hit? If I say this, am I going to be accepted? Am I going to trigger them and start a violent episode? Right? So people like that, they have a negative vision for life. And there's millions, perhaps billions of people who have a neutral vision. It's just like, get through the week, keep your head down below the cubicle, don't make waves, clock out on Friday night, get your 12-pack of Bud Light, order a pizza, sign into Netflix, binge watch for the weekend until Monday when you start the life of quiet desperation all over again. Those are real, tangible realities, those three types of vision. So where do we go from here? Well, I thought, what I need to do at the end of this episode is I've got to reference people to one of my earlier podcasts about setting and empowering vision. So I spent a long time last night scrolling through all 540 or something episodes, looking for the one about creating and empowering vision, and there wasn't one. I guess I've blogged about it, I've done seminars about it, but I never actually did a specific podcast or a YouTube channel video, Prosperity TV video about it. So I promise you have my commitment. I'm going to rectify that situation, and I'm going to produce a show for you in the next couple of weeks on that topic. But in the meantime, let me give you some things to do. Remember, there are no, let's put it this way. There are random circumstances, but there are no random lives. Your current situation is the direct result of the vision that you've held up until this point. But here's the last one, más importante. You wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't mentally prepared to make an improvement in your video, in your vision, right? You wouldn't have gotten this far on the video. So that's the great news. That's the gospel, all right, is you're ready to make that change. So let me give you a little homework. I'm going to give you 2 episodes, past episodes from the podcast to study. Episode number 411, Money Beliefs That Keep You Broke. If you're watching on YouTube, just search search this channel of the episodes, Money Beliefs That Keep You Broke. And then the podcast number 490, Rethink the Beliefs That Don't Serve You. Episode 490 on the podcast, just search the title on YouTube, Rethink the Beliefs That Don't Serve You. That'll give you some great things to work on in the meantime. And then, like I say, in the next episode or two, I'm going to produce a show for you on how you really create an empowering vision that pulls you forward and allows you to change your circumstance, where a year from now or 2 years from now or 6 months from now, you will be looking at a completely different financial reality. It will be manifestly improved. And I will be able to say to you, you didn't get here by accident. You mindfully created it. All right, go out and have an amazing day. Peace. I love you guys.